Welcome to this explainer on the shifting real estate landscape right here in Fresno, California for May 2026. We're diving straight into the latest Redfin data today. And if you're stepping into the market for the very first time, you are absolutely in the right place. We're going to use this data to build a real step-by-step guide for first-time homebuyers in Fresno. The market has completely transformed over the last few years, and honestly, wrapping your head around these shifts is the golden ticket to making a smart, confident purchase. Okay, let's jump right in.
To figure out where we are right now, we really have to look back at where we just were. During the height of the pandemic back in 2022, the housing market was an absolute frenzy. The typical home took less than a month to go from listed to under contract. It was literally the fastest housing market in history. But since then, well, home prices and mortgage rates climbed substantially. That 1-2 punch priced out a ton of would-be buyers and sellers, basically slamming the brakes on the market and slowing it to a total crawl. But actually, here's the secret for first-time buyers. That crawl, it's kind of your greatest opportunity.
Just compare that 2022 madness to today's market. Back then, you had rapid-fire sales, waived inspections, fierce bidding wars, the whole shebang. Now, in 2026, we're seeing a slower pace, slowly improving affordability, and, crucially, way less competition. Think about it. If you're a first-time home buyer, the 2022 market was incredibly hostile to you. The 2026 landscape, though, opens up this unique window for buyers to actually test the waters. You don't have that insane pressure to make the biggest financial decision of your life in like 24 hours.
Moving on to Section 1, Fresno Market Speed Explained.
Step 1 of our guide is understanding the actual speed of the local market. 54. That is the median days on market in Fresno right now. So the crucial point here is that a home sits on the market for nearly 2 full months before going under contract. For a first-time buyer, this number is basically your best friend. Why? Because this is a full 24 days longer than the previous year. You finally have time to actually tour a house, sleep on it, review your budget, and talk with your lender. The artificial urgency of the pandemic era has completely evaporated, giving you the breathing room you desperately need to make a careful, informed choice.
Now, while the median is nearly 2 months, you've got to notice that 15.4% of Fresno listings are still flying off the market in just 1 week. Expand that out to 2 weeks and nearly 30%, 28.7% to be exact, have already found buyers. Both of these metrics have actually dropped a bit year over year, but the main takeaway for your strategy is super clear. The market as a whole is slow, short, but highly desirable, well-priced homes. They are still getting snapped up relatively quickly. So you have time, but when you do find the one, you still need to be ready to act confidently.
Which brings us to Section 2, Fresno Pricing and Ratios.
Step 2 of our guide tackles the financials, 98.86%. This is an absolutely incredibly important metric, the average sale-to-list ratio in Fresno. What this tells us is that, on average, a home sells for about 98.86% of its asking price. Interestingly, this actually represents a slight increase of 0.3 percentage points compared to last year. So what does this actually mean for your negotiation strategy? Well, it means sellers are being realistic with their listing prices right out of the gate, and buyers are generally meeting them very close to that number. You probably aren't going to have to offer 10% over asking like you did back in 2022. But on the flip side, massive lowball offers aren't really winning the day either.
And here is the absolute bottom line for your budget. The current median sale price in Fresno is $428,678. Notice that modest year-over-year growth there, less than 1%, 0.9% to be exact. Basically, prices have stabilized. They aren't skyrocketing out of reach month by month, but they also aren't crashing. For first-time buyers, stability is a total game changer. It means the target isn't constantly moving further away while you're trying to save up for your down payment.
Let's move to Section 3, the national comparison. To build out Step 3 of our strategy, let's walk through this side-by-side comparison, because honestly, it reveals a fascinating dynamic. First, take a look at the median days on market. Fresno homes sit slightly longer than the national average, 54 days compared to 49 days nationwide. And correspondingly, fewer homes fly off the market in 2 weeks locally, 28.7% in Fresno versus 31.9% nationally. But here is where it completely flips. Even though the market moves a bit slower in Fresno, the city's prices are actually higher. The median sale price in Fresno is roughly $30,000 higher than the national median of $398,771. And check out the sale-to-list ratio. Despite taking longer to sell, Fresno sellers are capturing slightly more of their asking price at 98.86% compared to the national 98.3%. What this tells us is that Fresno sellers are patient. They are perfectly willing to wait those 54 days to get exactly the price they want.
Finally, Section 4. What buyers should know.
Synthesizing all these takeaways for Step 4, your strategic position looks a bit like this. First, affordability is slowly but surely improving. Prices have stabilized, allowing your hard-earned savings to actually catch up. Second, you just have way less competition in most areas. You aren't competing with 20 other frantic buyers for an average starter home anymore. And third, because of those 54 median days on market we talked about, you have much more room to negotiate. While the sale-to-list ratio was high, sellers who have been sitting on the market for 2 solid months might be far more willing to negotiate on things like repairs, closing costs, or flexible move-in dates. And you know what? For a first-time buyer, those concessions can be just as valuable as a straight-up price cut.
Which leads us to our final thought. With less competition and a slower pace giving you some much-needed room to breathe, but with prices still sitting higher than the national average, is 2026 your year to finally buy in Fresno? As a first-time homebuyer, you now have the hard data to weigh the incredible advantages of a slower, more deliberate market against the reality of current price points. The frenzy? It is officially over. The power of patience is back in your hands. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and I really hope this structured look at the data gives you the absolute confidence you need to navigate the Fresno market.